On the Fringe with Dan RadioStyle. Hope everybody out there's having themselves a great day. Yeah, the Supreme Court popped out the tariff thing, and yeah, I didn't think it was going to go this way. Now we've got some thoughts, got some discussion around this, and we'll kind of see how things do play out. There's just so many things I can see that are popping up from this or why this happened, and I ultimately, spoiler alert, I think the Supreme Court probably did what they should. I don't know exactly. We'll talk about this. There's some alternate paths and other things. We don't know exactly what those are. Trump's being tight-lipped. I was expecting him to kind of say something, and he hasn't. He's stayed oddly quiet on this, Trump's not one to respond emotionally. So they're already moving. They're already doing the next thing, but we're going to talk about this. This has interesting implications and possible problems all over the place. That said, got a lot to talk about, and we're going to do just that. Happy Friday, by the way. Doing a music show today. Kind of ahead of schedule. The news is kind of weird today, so whatever the case is. But we will be doing the live music show at 3 p.m. Pacific time, 6 p.m. Eastern today. If you want to be a part of the live show, Friday, I should say today. You might be watching this Saturday. And if not, you should see the show I did yesterday. We got some good music inspired by Cradle of Love, Billy Idol, just stuff along those lines. Just fun, good kind of classic, well, it is kind of at this point, but that kind of poppy, rocky kind of, I don't know, good stuff. It's going to be fun. It's a fun show today. I'm looking forward to it. UFOs apparently are going to be disclosed now, apparently because Obama did what he did. But Donald Trump truthed this out. Based on the tremendous interest shown, I will be directing the Secretary of War and other relevant departments and agencies to begin the process of identifying and releasing government files related to alien and extraterrestrial life, unidentified aerial phenomena, UAPs, and unidentified flying objects, UFOs, and any and all other information connected to these highly complex but extremely interesting and important matters. God bless America. Interesting on a lot of levels. He probably knows quite a bit about this, and there's so much discussion around this. And there's, unfortunately, it's been clouded up a lot by a lot of the channeling that's out there. And again, I'm fond of channeling. I do it frequently myself. But the way that a lot of people are doing it is it's clouded up. Let's just put it that way. It's clouded up. We'll see how it all plays out in the big picture. What is actually from quote-unquote other places versus what's stuff that's been here all along. There's going to be a lot of interesting things that I think we're going to find out in the not-too-distant future. Kirill Dmitriev, the Russian guy, he put this Morse code out, which is pretty funny. And so I had to go to a translator because I don't speak Morse code, but I put it in there, and it literally comes out and says, Obama is an alien. So he literally, he put the Morse code for Obama as an alien out. I love it. I just think it's funny as hell. We did get a picture, declassified photo already, of one of the aliens. If you could see the screen right here, definitely from some other planet. We don't know where. But yeah, you can tell very, very interesting alien there. Strange looking being. Yes. Pete Hegseth, dude's badass, man. He's probably a max of some kind, but holy crap. And a teeny bit of help at the end, but I don't even think it was help. I think it was just like moral support, because sometimes you're like, I got this. 315 pounds. This is freaking awesome. Check this out.
All right, here we go. For the detail, 3 plates, got on the spot. Long time coming. Let's go. Gotta keep the butt down. If I can. All right, go lift. I got it. 1, 2, 3. I got it. I got it. Don't touch it! Yeah! There we go! Ha!
Dude's badass, and it scares the hell out of me that he's got this little kid spotting him. Jesus, that kid couldn't. If he literally got, he had a lot of confidence he could put this up, but yeah, it would have been much worse to not have a spotter. It's extraordinarily dangerous, all said. All right, Supreme Court stuff. Let's get into it. Now, this is kind of being presented in a few ways, and they're leaving out some key important ingredients in this. So a lot of people are, Supreme Court strikes down Trump's global tariffs. Supreme Court, really, they're responding to the Emergency Economic Powers Act of 1977. It's a law Congress passed to give presidents tools for responding to foreign crisis. This is specifically what they're saying he doesn't have the right to do. So he did a lot of tariffs based off of fentanyl and stuff like that, not necessarily other things that Trump might have in place. So keep that in mind, because that's part of where they're going. There are other tools, supposedly, that Trump has available to him. But Chief Justice John Roberts wrote for a 6-3 majority that Trump exceeded his authority. They basically say, look, we're not experts in the whole thing of, finance in the world and all that nonsense. But what he says, where I kind of agree with him, I guess. I don't know. I mean, it's still early on. It's like brand new. And when it first hit me, I was depressed, right? Like a lot of us go through like the stages. But then it was just like, well, this obviously happened. Like I always tell you guys, if it actually happens, then it's supposed to happen. Otherwise, it wouldn't. So this is supposed to happen. Now, is it the deep state causing a problem for us? Probably. Is it a possible correct interpretation of the law? Possibly. There's a lot to this. And again, Trump's got other stuff, other options available. Those would have to spin up the old food chain. I'm sure a district judge will probably find a way to try to keep Trump from doing this. And that's the other side of this, too. Does this display... One, they've said prices have gone up, but they really haven't. So now they're like, oh, good. Now, prices will get back to normal. But what's likely going to happen is prices won't go back to normal. They'll stay high. So we're going to see that Trump is basically, they're trying to keep him from being able to, the rest of the world shouldn't be able to sell products here without any repercussions at all. That's just, that's incorrect. And Congress can't pass anything. Our Congress is broken. Now, again, they're the ones that are probably supposed to do this. We've got Supreme Court striking down a bulk of Trump's tariffs. So it was odd that Hill actually gave a better version of this than Breitbart. Typically, Breitbart's a little more conservative, and I feel they did actually a poor job, kind of. But the justices rejected Trump's expanded use of the International Emergency Economic Powers Act, IEEPA. This is what it's all about. They said he can't impose tariffs on nearly every country. The 1970-era law allows the president to regulate imports when necessary to respond to national emergencies that pose an unusual and extraordinary threat. We claim no special competence in matters of economic or foreign affairs, Chief Justice Roberts wrote. He said, we claim only, as we must, the limited role assigned to us by Article 3 of the Constitution. Fulfilling that role, we hold that IEEPA does not authorize the president to impose tariffs. So that is out. Now we've got Kavanaugh. They wrote he wrote a dissenting letter. I think we've got some of that. But he said the sole legal question here is whether under IEEPA tariffs are a means to regulate importation, Kavanaugh wrote. Statutory text, history, and precedent demonstrate that the answer is clearly yes. Like quotas and embargoes, tariffs are a traditional and common tool to regulate importation. He said, in essence, the court today concludes that the president checked the wrong statutory box by relying on IEEPA rather than another statute to impose those tariffs. This is the hint that Trump has another path, and that's all he needs to do. So he went with this path. I think this was intentional, by the way. I think Trump intentionally went with this IEEPA and just like, we'll see how far we can get with that. That'll be good enough because they're going to shoot it down, and then we'll use the real one, the real statute. Could have used another statute to impose these tariffs. You see, there's still a way. But this, I think, was meant to kind of demonstrate, one, how badly the Democrats want to stop Trump's tariffs. Trump's tariffs are actually helping our country, unquestionably. We've brought in hundreds of billions of dollars, and it was going to surpass $1 trillion likely this year, and still probably will. Schumer's hailing the Supreme Court tariff ruling as a win for the wallets of Americans. Yeah, but none of that's actually going to trickle down to Americans. And as we pointed out yesterday, 49% of the tariffs are affecting company-to-company transfers. I talked about the place I used to work at. We literally sold ourselves the product for a very small margin because it lowered the tax responsibility that we had. Well, the tariffs affected them now. It affects that transfer cost. They're not passing it along to the consumer because the consumer won't buy the product. If you price it differently, the consumer won't buy it. So Schumer, of course, is an idiot. We know that. There's just no reason to beat up on the old man. He's plenty stupid for everybody out there. Him and Jasmine Crockett probably have just exciting rounds of Scrabble, just 4-letter words everywhere. It's like, I don't know how we can fit another 4-letter word on here. And the fact they got to do math, right, for double word scores and stuff. One of the other things Kavanaugh said, the United States may be required to refund billions of dollars to importers who paid the IEEPA tariffs, even though some importers may have already passed on the cost to consumers or others. As was acknowledged at oral arguments, the refund process is likely to be a mess. Well, Trump may not care. I don't know. I don't know how those agreements were written. I don't know how he, maybe he uses this other tool. We'll find out. Justice Thomas, he dissented, and he's not happy about this. Said Supreme Court Justice argued in a dissent that neither federal statute nor the Constitution bars the president's tariff actions, writing that Congress explicitly authorized the executive to regulate importation, a power historically understood to include imposing duties on imports. Thomas noted that similar language was upheld during tariff actions and maintained that Congress may delegate such authority to the president without violating the non-delegation doctrine, emphasizing that this practice has long-standing precedent recognized by the courts. So again, the IEEPA is very specifically the reason. Now, I think we've got Kavanaugh and we've got Clarence Thomas, as well as the other gentleman, what's his face? They are all basically, dissenting and showing that that there's another way to go, right? We'll see, again, how this plays out. Here's Jonathan Turley talking about a very short little segment, but it's, again, other paths.
The administration has other tools in its toolbox. It can actually impose tariffs under other statutes. So this night is hardly over for the administration when it comes to tariffs.
Now, how they switch to the other tariff approaches, I don't know. But obviously Trump's busy doing that, and he's not going to tip his hat until it's been taken care of. So I'm sure there's a lot of people that are scrambling on his administration side. They probably saw this coming and even possibly knew it was coming. Trump hasn't made a tariff comment in a little while, so he might have gotten a heads up on it. And it's like, all right, crap. So they've probably already started a while back. All that said, it is interesting because Trump has settled numerous wars using what? Tariffs. Now, not necessarily the IEEPA version of the tariffs, but certainly tariffs. So were those the ones that are okay? I don't know. Again, we're going to find out. We're going to learn a lot about tariffs over the next little period of time. But here's Trump talking about how he's solved a lot of problems.
Are you involved in the rift between UAE and Saudi Arabia?
No, I'm not. Well, I can settle it very easily. But they do indeed have a rift. And we can get it settled very easily. I settle wars. I settle a lot of rifts between countries. You've been noticing, right? That's an easy one to settle.
Yeah, we'll see how it all plays out. Again, Trump has a path forward that we're all on together. So don't get too freaked out. But at the same time, I'm actually surprised it didn't have a different effect on the market. We'll get there in a sec. I want to mention this. This is pretty messed up. Colorado appeals court denies Tina Peters' bond. The 70-year-old Gold Star mother is going to remain in prison, even though she's got a presidential pardon. The appeals court heard the appeal to let her out while all this stuff is happening, and they're like, nope. So again, she is a political prisoner, unquestionable. Very sad, very sad. We'll see what happens from there. I at first was just going to read this, but I listened to 3/4 of it, and I'm like, all right, I'm going to use this, screw it. This is pretty good. And it's Jeffrey Epstein talking about how Bill Clinton caused the major housing market bubble crisis, and they did it for votes. Now, again, it's funny how we'll listen to Epstein. The dude was brilliant. when it came down to finance and stuff. That's why they hooked up with him. I'm reasonably sure Ghislaine Maxwell was underage and got involved with him, and that captured Epstein long ago. And I think he just like, all right, whatever. It is what it is. I'll do this. And he was very good when it came to finance stuff. That was just, he was a very, very smart dude. Maybe a penchant for younger ladies, but a smart dude nonetheless. So this is interesting, and hopefully you guys will agree.
The real enemy of the finance system was Bill Clinton. And if you ask me what and who caused the financial crisis, I would tell you it was Bill Clinton.
Because of what Bob Rubin and he did to the deregulate the financial system?
No. Because as of the last time we had our 60-minute interview, you talked to me about home ownership. And you asked me whether everyone should own a home. And I told you, no, it's too risky.
So the financial collapse of 2008 is because of hardworking African Americans, Hispanics, and whites who wanted to have a ownership stake in the society that all rests on their shoulders. They're the culprits.
No, not at all.
Okay, then
I didn't say they were the culprits. I was pretty clear it was Bill Clinton.
Okay.
Why was it Bill Clinton? Because Bill Clinton wanted to get votes from those people. And he sold them the idea that instead of renting in a house, and historically the values of houses have gone up, and he said, you guys in these local communities who haven't been able to afford a house before, I'm going to show you a way. I'm going to give you a way, because I'm sure I'll get your vote, that you can own a house, because I want your vote. So what we're going to do is I'm going to let you buy a house, Mr. Bannon, when you really, you're right on the border, maybe, or not even on the border. Your credit is not good. Okay, let's be honest. And it's not my fault, it's not Bill Clinton's fault, but if whatever happens, at the moment your credit score or whatever it is, your credit's not good. Now, normally, you come to me and want to borrow money, I'm a bank, and I say, I'm sorry, Mr. Bannon, I can't lend you money because your credit score is not up to where it needs to be. Hopefully, if you work harder and clean up some of your problems, it will be. But no, what I say to you is, I'm going to figure out a way to lend you, not give you. I'm going to lend you money anyway, though you don't have a good credit score. And don't worry, I'm going to get rid of the term that you don't have bad credit. Bad credit sounds pejorative. You don't want to be a person.
Sounds judgmental.
Yeah, sounds judgmental. So what we're going to do is we're going to call your credit situation subprime. Oh, nobody knows what that means. Subprime. That means prime is good credit. Subprime is not good credit, less than good credit. So we'll call it something that people really won't follow. And we'll tell you what, we're going to have people lend you money, though you are a subprime borrower, and I will figure out some government agencies to guarantee your loan, though I don't think you're a good risk. So the banks say, no, 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 we don't want, initially, the bank said, sorry, this is too risky, Mr. President, for us. We're in the business of managing risk. It's not our money. It's the hard-working people's money sitting in our bank. We can't lend to people whose credit is not prime. You're asking us to lend to people who are subprime. And he says, here's the key, if you don't, Mr. Bannon, I'm going to make sure the Justice Department charges you with discriminatory lending because you refuse to lend to my subprimers. In business terms, you should never lend to. But what we'll do is I'm going to form an agency called Fannie Mae and Ginnie Mae, just another agency names. They'll guarantee your loan. So don't worry. Don't worry. You don't have to pay it back anymore. Even though and maybe you don't even have to work as hard anymore. That's probably a harsh statement, but these players, these two big...
The Democrats have literally been breaking off pieces of this country and handing it to people and saying, please vote for me, for years. And there's not much left to break off anymore. I actually worked in the mortgage industry during this time, about 2003 to 2008-9, when the crash happened. I was working at one of the largest subprime mortgage lenders here in Southern California. When I first started with them, they were doing about $1.5 billion a month in loans. Many of you would be like, crap, damn. When I left them, we were averaging $4.3 billion a month in loans. And we'd turn around, bundle those, and sell them within 14 days. Almost all of them. To clear up our credit. We literally were funding billions a month in subprime. That was our bread and butter. I actually worked for the prime part of our company, which was very funny. It was like hardly any volume. We'd get thousands of loans that were subprime, and I'd get 150 prime loans. This is what they are doing. President Trump reveals that Democrats have hired a boatload of lawyers in Fulton County, Georgia. Let's hear what he has to say on this. I don't think I've actually listened to this yet.
They raided the Fulton County place, storage house. And now the Democrats have hired a massive team of lawyers. They have the ballots. That should be no problem, right? They have the ballots. FBI came in and raided. They found plenty of stuff. And now they have the ballots. And the Democrats are fighting like hell, and I think it goes before a judge tomorrow, to not let anybody see the ballots. Why don't they want them to see the ballots after all these years? You know why they don't want? Because they cheated, that's why. They sent top lawyers down from New York to fight it. And I think it goes before a judge tomorrow sometime. They don't want them to see the ballot. They've taken the ballots. They have them now. After years, they got an order from the court, signed order from a very respected judge, and now they're trying to stop anybody from looking. You know why? Because they cheated like dogs. Agriculture.
Cheated like dogs. I love that. I love when he uses words like that. Such like a Middle Eastern thing. It's like dogs. Always referring to you as some sort of dirty animal. Donald Trump truthed this out. Says, we're going to have the Save America Act one way or another. After approval by Congress through the very proper use of the filibuster, or at minimum by a talking filibuster a la Mr. Smith Goes to Washington. Save America Act. 1. All voters must show voter ID. 2. All voters must show proof of citizenship in order to vote. 3. No mail-in ballots except for illness, disability, military, or travel, period. And they have obviously must be received by Election Day. Sort of a little small, written in Morse code after. For sure, what needs to happen. Donald Trump, also truth. The Democrat shutdown cost the USA at least 2 points in GDP. That's why they are doing it in many form again. No shutdown. Also, lower interest rates. Too late, Powell is the worst. President Donald J. Trump. Or President DJT, I should say. I don't know why he switches that up so much, but he does what he does, and Trump is the man. Yeah, the shutdown again. Now, the shutdown is a small one. It's just DHS. It's just our security, TSA, stuff like that, CISA. Again, I think that's why they've intentionally done it, but it is what it is. Now, the news of the tariffs, I would have expected that to affect the markets differently. Gold and silver did what I thought, not as much as I thought, but definitely. And you'll see the silver graph chart. I think it takes a little bounce. But we're back up over 82 in silver. Gold's up, pushing 51 again. It's up almost $90 so far today. And again, the tariffs, losing the tariff opportunity, and I think that's part why Trump is leaving that out there, because it's kind of, I don't know if this is coming to that near-death moment, but we're getting there. And this is one of the things where, if we had to give all that money back, you're literally asking us to give money back that's already made a difference in this country. It's already helped our economy. And then now to have to give it back, this is all about the deep state. First off, the stock market is controlled by the deep state to a large extent, and they're threatening to damage it if they don't get their way. And Trump's playing this fight carefully. That's why he's bringing manufacturing back. That's why our GDP is starting to spike already. That's why they're freaking out even harder. They're like, shit, his numbers are out of control. So it is possible that the Supreme Court, Roberts, controlled that they actually did a 6-3, like, no, we got to take this away from Trump. And again, there's other options. We've heard that from the dissenters, the actual patriots. Now, again, the other side of this, too, that I could see the deep state trying to accomplish is pissing off people on our side of the fence to say things they shouldn't say, post things they shouldn't post. And I mean stupid stuff like threats, Like never, ever, ever threaten anybody. Ever, ever. Never threaten anybody. Especially people that are in the government. But never threaten people. It's just not worth it. And there's always someone tougher. Always. There's always somebody that's got a bigger stick. So be careful. Don't be like that, because that's just not helping. So there's a lot of things that are at work, a lot of things at stake. Deep state has moved, counter moves. How we react to these situations is key. How we message about them afterwards is key. So again, gold, it's weird. It's like the graph on gold's funny. There, okay, that's more like it. It looks like Dow, like it took a bad drop, and then they're already trying to bring it back, when they talked about the tariffs thing, and this actually looks like it affected all three markets at the same time when that information came out. I like the little double hump, though. It's camel. How funny is that? They both have camels? Yeah, they pretty much do. The Dow's a little uglier camel. Was it dromedary? Is the two, right? I forget what the single hump camel's called. I think it's dromedary when they got two. Whatever the case is, who cares? Right? I'm not trying to impress anyone with my biology knowledge because I don't have any. That's the problem. You're going to run out of knowledge quick. And you'll be like, this dude's an idiot. I'll be like, kind of, yeah, I'm sorry. What I'm not is what's going on in the economy. Precious metals are an amazing thing. They are protecting our wealth. That's what it comes down to, our buying power. I've said this a lot. I'm going to try to keep this short. I apologize, guys, but it's so important. And I think the knowledge that people are gleaning about how this stuff works is helpful. Back in 1913, like when the Fed started, basically, this would buy me a handmade tailored suit, which costs roughly $20. 20 reserve notes, 20 Federal Reserve notes, 1 ounce of gold. I could get a tailored suit. Today, $5,100 Federal Reserve notes, 1 ounce of gold, handmade tailored suits. $5,100 versus $20 back in 1913. Another way to look at this, 1913, $1, 1 Federal Reserve note, you could literally buy 30 full-size Hershey chocolate bars. 30 full-size Hershey chocolate bars. Today, $1, they'll get you a little discount baggie of gummy bears. Literally, with like 8 of them in there. 12 maybe if you're lucky. $1. That's why the value of your house goes up. Not because it's more valuable, but because inflation. The price of gold goes up because of inflation. Not because it's gotten more valuable. It's worth exactly what it was worth. Buying power wise. That's what protecting buying power does. Now, the protection of buying power happens the second you buy this. If I bought this back in 1913, I paid $20 for it. If I bought it today, I'd pay $5,100 for it. It's the same thing still. It's worth just as much, but when valued compared to a Federal Reserve note, it takes a lot more of those to get it. The inflation that's happened on the Federal Reserve note is astounding. It's disgusting. It's 97% of our buying power has been lost. Something to that effect. It's huge. It's disgusting. 25% of that happened during Biden's term. So, yeah, the stock market's doing reasonably well. You are losing buying power every single day. Trump knows this. He can't say it because he really doesn't want to freak people out. But this is where you can protect yourself. And this is a great company. I love these guys, and they can literally help you do it. It's a complex process. First off, you're talking 401k or IRA. That's pre-tax money. If they give it to you in any way, shape, or form, you're going to get penalized and taxed heavily, period. End of story. It's how it works. It's game. All right? Unless you're old enough, in which case you don't get penalized, but you'll still get taxed, period. It's income that's not been taxed yet. It's deferred tax. So what they do is they move it sideways, tax-free, penalty-free. You're not going to get any extra taxes or anything like that. They're going to get it out of your 401k, IRA, and into precious metals. Literally going to buy physical metals that are put into a trust with your name on it. They're your metals. And if you say, hey, send me my metals, they have metals they'll send you. They're your metals. It's physical metals. You're protecting your buying power. DRSlikesgold.com. DRSlikesgold.com. Up to 10% free silver, which is a big multiplier on that. We're going to see the price of silver go really high over the next period of time. This year, most likely. And I doubt it's going to bleed too far into next. And I honestly wonder how far along we are when it comes to July 4th, because that's a big key date. But I'm not going to, assume anything yet at this point. A lot's going to happen this year. DRSlikesgold.com. Don't be behind the curve. You want to be in front of this one, big time. Protect your wealth. Stock market's it's high. Maybe it's going to go up more. We'll see. Buying power's going down. Price of gold and silver definitely going up. Get it while it's low. Get it while it's hot. Get it while you can. DRSlikesgold.com. DRSlikesgold.com. Get out of that system while you can, and you'll be impressed. Also, cash people. They've got a pretty sweet deal going on right now. You're going to get a free safe, free storage, and up to 10% free gold or silver with cash purchases. I believe they're larger purchases. So if you've got thousands of dollars in the bank and you'd like to protect the buying power, these guys are going to help you out and hook you up with some pretty cool sweets extras on the side. So go to DRSlikesgold.com, DRSlikesgold.com. Get out of that system before that system gets out of you. Bunch of crap going on with states right now. Bad choices by states. So I'm going to give a bunch of examples of news that's going to show how the Democrat states are crashing badly, and it's costing them even more. It's destroying them. And so we're living through a very, very, very difficult time in history. Understand that. Be as prepared as you can. That's for sure. Donald Trump truth. Governor Wes Moore of Maryland must get the toxic river spill fixed immediately. The Democrats constantly talk about environmental pollution and protection, and yet they think it's okay to have hundreds of thousands of gallons a day of sewage pouring into our beautiful Potomac River because they failed to maintain and monitor their own public systems. The governors of Virginia and Maryland must get moving quickly. If they can't do the job, all they have to do is call, be polite and respectful, and the federal government will handle it and bill them for services rendered at a later date. Muriel Bowser, the mayor of Washington, D.C., has politely asked that I get involved, so the federal government will do that from the D.C. standpoint. Thank you for your attention to this matter. I don't know what they're going to do. Get out there with skimmers and try to get poo out of the water? I have no idea what they think they're going to do. Donald Trump truth this as well. To the great people of East Palestine, Ohio, who were disgracefully betrayed and forgotten about by crooked Joe Biden, Trump has never forgotten about you and never will. In addition to our administration's long-term health study for the benefit of the residents, we are providing $10 million through the Economic Development Administration to help the community continue its recovery from the disastrous train derailment. We want to see East Palestine grow, flourish, and be able to take advantage of our now booming economy. It was horrible what was allowed to happen there, and we are with you for the long haul. Make America great again. Again, another state that's just not doing what should, right? California sues to make Trump admin recommend more vaccines to kids. It's just stupid. California being stupid. They're literally suing and saying you should be listening to these other people, not your people. And you should be giving more vaccines to children, especially the hepatitis B one, which is really one of the contentious vaccines. Like, you don't really need it unless your parents have it. And they're like, well, what if you get a blood transfusion? You might get it that way. It's like, stupid reason to force kids to get something that I don't want to say it, but how many people got blood transfusions? Not everybody, that's for sure. California ranks worst state for air quality. Wyoming's the cleanest. I think it's funny in that, we're the ones that are the most worried about the greenhouse gases and all that nonsense, yet they don't care about forest fires. Forest fires create more pollution and toxic stuff in the air than any other event that happens in this state. And they don't do anything about it. And then they talk about how we're going to make sure that you can't fart without getting in trouble. In California, we'll tax you for farts. People are waking up. This affects everybody. So, yeah, it's just funny when the facts come out and they want to fight it. And it's not true. California's leading the way. And it's like, in being the worst, yeah, totally leading the way. In suckage, we rock at suckage. We even top Pennsylvania. Isn't it like where steel mills and car factories are and shit? Like, come on. And chocolate pollution, we know you got crap tons of that up there. Hershey, Pennsylvania. Probably not true, I assume. But, it makes me think of, Willy Wonka, right? River of chocolate and shit. Man, that'd be awesome. Democrat Governor J.B. Pritzker, he's panicking now that Trump has blocked $8.4 billion because, they keep giving it away to illegals and people that aren't supposed to get federal funds. No wonder we don't want to give you money, huh?
Pritzker talked about the challenges ahead, and he blamed the potential loss of more than $8 billion in federal funds that the state is still fighting over in court as an underlying problem.
If you want to talk about our FY 2027 budget, you must first demand the return of the money and resources this president has taken from the people of Illinois.
Republicans said Pritzker's comments seem more like a presidential campaign speech.
Governor Pritzker and his Democrat allies need to stop blaming President Trump for the problems that they themselves have created. Record spending, billions in new taxes and fees.
Yeah, it's a mess. And again, this whole thought process, so long as I get mine, is unacceptable. We have to think bigger. We have to think about our kids and what we're leaving them. Less concerned about, oh, am I going to live an extra year and I need millions of dollars of health care to do that? I mean, literally, come on. This is one of those places where I think a lot of us have to look at the bigger picture and maybe do what's right rather than what's selfish. Yeah, the Potomac, apparently DEI is, they're saying, played a huge role. This is the chair of DC Water Board. She's not an engineer or a city planner. She just has no skill in any of that stuff. She is a bureaucrat, nonprofit educator, grant disperser of taxpayer money, and former assistant head of a boys' charter school. This is her background. But she hit the other check boxes, so we're going to go ahead and let you run the Department of Water. That doesn't seem like a smart choice. So, yeah, we'll see more of this. This is DC Water Board, by the way, and it's not DC's fault that the spill happened, by the way, just to give fairness. The spill happened in Maryland and Vermont or Virginia or whatever the hell the other one is up there, right? Across the river from each other, I think. That's the place where the leak happened. So they're the ones that failed. Needless to say, she's not necessarily dealt with it properly. So here we are, the problems we're having. Hawaii is going to do a bills that would allow the government to quarantine people, enter property, seize firearms, and suspend laws. They're trying to advance companion legislation that would formally codify these sweeping emergency powers for the governor and county officials, including authority to quarantine individuals, enter private property without consent, suspend laws, and seize control of infrastructure under the justification of preparing for future disasters and disease outbreaks. Yeah, you guys obviously see that for what it is. It's not legal. I'm reasonably sure it's going to be shot down, but we'll find out. Governor Pritzker is very disappointed that Chicago Bears' move from the state is a lot closer now. There's a stadium deal that's going on in Indiana, and it looks like Chicago Bears might not be the Chicago Bears any longer, which if you think about how badly these Democrat, socialist, sanctuary policy-loving states, cities as well, are destroying themselves. They thought things would stay forever. Ultimately, that's not how the system works. These millionaire taxes that they're passing on, these sports taxes. Anybody does a show, a concert in California, they're going to get taxed heavily for spending any time there at all. California's just out of control. They're in their federal tax board here is out of control. Out of control. Like anyone's talking about, just don't pay your taxes. Seriously, if you're in a blue state, watch what happens to you. You will get rocked by your own state. The federal government may never come after you. But people forget, you pay taxes to the federal government and you pay state taxes. So be careful. Any of you guys thinking of doing crazy stuff like that, if you live in a blue state, they will rape you. Steven Spielberg's fleeing California ahead of the wealth tax that's coming. They're losing people like crazy. Losing people like crazy. Eagle-eyed cops, they nabbed a New York City transit terrorist. They literally caught 4 really bad, known bad people, busted them in 24-hour period, got them all in jail. Within a day, or within a week, they were back out on the streets. Literally. In places like New York, in California, in Illinois, in Minnesota, Washington State, Oregon. They literally bust criminals who commit crime, bust them, Immediately, they're back out on the street. They commit crime again, get arrested, back out on the street. This is insane. If we can get fair elections, which obviously the courts are never going to get a chance to get involved in unless they have some sort of emergency hearing, but once Trump has the proof and shows the proof that we literally have foreign agencies working through these machines, that it's proven they have modems, it's proven that they're hackable, and it's proven that the SA passwords have been given all over the place, there's no way they can stop them. So again, the tariffs, the IEEPA or whatever the frick it is, yeah, that's the one form of tariffs you can't use. Okay. There's other choices available. We're going to see what they are. We're going to learn about it, like I said. And again, they keep putting these people back on the street. It's insane. Boeing just moved to Virginia, and literally less than 4 years later, in one election cycle with a corrupt deep state minion elected, they are already bugging out. Boeing is literally moving their head office back to St. Louis out of Virginia. They were in Chicago, too. They're probably going to move some of that manufacturing. Seattle is one of the other, well, the Seattle area, one of the other major places. I think they're still building stuff out there, and I'm sure they're still building stuff in Chicago as well. And hell, it's probably a big part of why Boeing is having all sorts of problems. We're going to talk a little more about that coming up. And I honestly think, and just for people, if you don't know, McDonnell Douglas and Boeing came together. Essentially what happened, they took the management of McDonnell Douglas and put them in charge at Boeing. And most of them didn't care about quality assurance and all that kind of stuff. So we've ended up with a very subpar version of Boeing because of the McDonnell Douglas management that is running the company. I'm going to say this. I got a buddy out there that works for Boeing. He's probably like friggin' yeah, because it's true. Boeing is one of the most amazing companies on this planet that has been just destroyed by the deep state. And hopefully we can get them back, and I think we're trying. We've got an attempted terrorist attack to kill ICE agents in Idaho, the original state, by the way, of Ebonics. You guys remember Ebonics, right? Yeah, Idaho. I am a hoe. It's the first Ebonics state. I didn't know if you knew that or not.
Last night at approximately 11:10 p.m., officers from the Meridian Police Department, the Ada County Sheriff's Office, Boise Police Department, and the Meridian Fire Department responded to a 911 call reporting that a Canyon County paramedics ambulance had been stolen from the ambulance bay at St. Luke's West. Preliminary investigation indicates the suspect drove the ambulance north through the parking lot and retrieved gas cans that had been staged in nearby vegetation. The suspect then drove the ambulance directly into the North Portico building, which houses Department of Homeland Security offices. Investigators believe the suspect poured an accelerant inside and around the outside of the ambulance. At this time, it appears the suspect was unable to ignite the accelerant before being scared off by responding agencies. We want to emphasize that this was a serious criminal act. The theft and destruction of an emergency vehicle not only created risk to responding personnel, but it also temporarily removed a critical medical resource from the community. There has been a lot of rhetoric surrounding the Department of Homeland Security leasing office space at this location, and comments on social media such as property damage isn't violence is absolutely false. This was absolutely an act of violence. And if the suspect had not been interrupted, there is no doubt this building would have been burned, putting the lives of first responders and others at risk.
Yeah, so we're seeing the weird escalation of violence by the people that are most violent. Yet they blame us. I know, it's all right. It's how it's going to be. Mistrial has been declared in an anti-ICE Antifa sniper ambush. This is one of the Texas cases, that one place where they they were attacking the ICE agency. They were trying to shoot down ICE agents and ended up killing the actual Hispanic people that were being arrested. Sort of weird. Like that never got made more attention of. No one couldn't really march after that because it's like, well, your assassin shot your own people. That was not very well done. U.S. District Judge Mark Pittman, he declared a mistrial Tuesday. Now, at first I was like, what the shit? And then I realized, no, this is because the actual the defendant, the representative who's defending Marciela Rueda, she wore a T-shirt beneath her blazer displaying civil rights leaders, including Martin Luther King Jr. and Shirley Chisholm. The shirt also appeared to honor Reverend Jesse Jackson, who had died that same day. Judge Pittman rebuked the choice, stating, "I don't know why in the world you would think that's appropriate." Long story short, he did it because of her. They were having issues with the jury pool and some of the crazy questions this chick was wearing. He even goes further to state that what she did, it said a prosecutor wearing an ice pin or a shirt with Donald Trump riding an eagle alongside an ice flag. So that's basically what you're doing. It's the same thing. You guys would obviously freak out if that was what they were doing, right? So, yeah, politics, as prevalent as they are, as divided as they are, don't have any business here. And he's right. So she was trying to make this a show court or some sort of show, and the judge wasn't going to have any of that. So he declared a mistrial. They're going to restart the jury pool, and I don't know if she gets sanctioned or what. I think they're talking about that possibly happening, so we'll see. That was a bad choice on that lawyer's part. Another illegal immigrant truck driver causes a deadly crash. This is an individual that was not here legally. They got an extension because of some hole in the law. They're calling it the Flores consent decree. This policy stems back from 1993 Supreme Court case, Reno versus Flores, which limited how long minors could be detained and allowed their release to family members or sponsors. So this guy was here too long. They had him detained. They had to let him go. Ultimately, gets a truck driver license, CDL, through Indy. I don't know where he got it from. I don't know if they tell us in the story. But he killed somebody, hit a truck and smashed it into something and just absolutely destroyed the dude. He was pronounced dead on site. So it's another individual that's problematic. 300 Virginia high school students who ditched class for this anti-ICE nonsense, well, they all got suspended, which is awesome. That shows up on your permanent record. You guys remember that? Your permanent record? How much you'd freak out about that in school? No permanent record. If you end up in jail, yeah, that's a permanent record. Suspension, and show up on any permanent-ass record. That was my favorite thing. Permanent record. It's on your permanent record, Dan. No, it's not. No permanent record, you lying sack of shit. People, please. U.S. investigating Portland public schools for racial discrimination. Federal officials are investigating this. It has to do with a Center for Black Student Excellence. Believe it or not, it doesn't have to do with the fact that they're ignoring white people. It's the fact that the black people are actually scoring higher than Pacific Islanders and Native Americans. Those two groups are testing lower than black people, and it's like, you should be giving some of that money to them, and you're not allowed to have something that's specifically race-based. That's illegal, part of Title VI. You can't do that. Neener, you have no wiener. So, yeah, all that said, we'll see what happens with that as well. Boasberg rubber stamps the DOJ request to keep the FBI Twitter payment secret. I feel like they're doing this because they want to get Dems to like scream about it or something. I don't know, like, because basically Boasberg's agreeing with what the Justice Department wants, which is we don't want necessarily to let people know how much we were paying and how that whole process worked, mainly because they feel like they're giving up how they kind of find out information, maybe. So all that said, there's supposedly information that they feel would tell people how they accomplish their investigations. You know, they can't release that kind of stuff. The judge apparently agreed, which is weird because we know Boasberg's a big pile of trash and he hates Trump, but somehow he seems to go with the Trump administration. It's weak. I'm lightly saying that, but that he's going against or going with them. But I think it's because this is going to try to play politically out poorly. And I think it's another ruse. I think it's intentional. I think it's like the Epstein files. I think they're intentionally doing it. Prosecutors are zeroing in on CIA's Brennan. He had some secret requests for years-old evidence from the U.S. Senate. So they're actually playing this out. They're actually getting this information, these original interviews that he did with the Senate way back when. Now, these are outside of statute of limitations because of the idea of lying to Congress. No, the thing they're actually going after him is from 2023. So it's within statute. So they've got that covered no matter what. But the fact they're pulling these older records, a lot of people are like, but that's outside of statute. Well, they're actually going the conspiracy path. And that's why they're pulling the further back records, because this ties into the Russia. This ties into the Steele dossier. And it shows the conspiracy that was organized by Obama as, what it is, a conspiracy. So all the racketeering, all the people involved with that, statutes of limitation don't matter at those points. So we'll see. Again, a lot of interesting crazies coming. Supreme Court's going to hear arguments and take up the birthright citizenship in April. Obviously not having a real strong feeling about the Supreme Court at this moment. I am curious to see how they spin this one. They're probably going to say that, if you're born here, you can live here. I don't know. They're going to say something stupid. We'll see. If not, it'll just force us to keep people out. If they're pregnant, you're pregnant, you can't come in this country. Sorry, you got to go. Well, I just wanted to visit. Nope. You're pregnant. Can't happen. GOP releases full Les Wexner Epstein deposition. I don't know. A lot of this is crap. But one thing that was kind of funny is literally his attorney tells him, and you can hear it. I'll try to enhance it as best I can. But the F word's coming for any of you guys that are sensitive. But this attorney tells Wexner, I'll fucking kill you if you answer another question with more than 5 words, okay? Literally what he says. Check this out.
It was just regularly done. Answer the question. 5 words, okay? Answer the question. Okay.
It even says answer the question afterwards. Like if you use more than 5 words, though. So answer the question. No. Right? So anyways, I feel like there's one other one in here that was good. Explosive deposition clip surfaced. Epstein claimed he was the financial advisor to Alain de Rothschild and the Rothschild family in France. Yeah, it's not worth the 2 minutes. But anyway, he's got implications to more famous people. He's trying to act like, I didn't know anything. Whatever, buddy. It's coming out. Truth is coming out. And this is a funny post that someone made. MJ Truth put this out. It said, I'm sure it's nothing. Epstein files reveal that Jeffrey Epstein, who had close ties to Israel, was offered the opportunity to buy a building attached to the Pentagon in 2016, years after being convicted as a sex offender. The mission-critical building, located around a mile away from the Pentagon itself, is used by the U.S. Department of Defense. The 911,818 square foot Prime Campus building is described in the documents as the only property in Arlington, Virginia, other than the Pentagon itself, with the ability to meet the space and infrastructure needs of the DoD. Interesting. So, yeah, that's an interesting set of numbers there, by the way. 911. 818. Very interesting. Just saying. Never know. Jeffrey Epstein estate has agreed to pay as much as $35 million to resolve a class action lawsuit that accused 2 of the disgraced financiers advisors of aiding and abetting his sex trafficking of young women and teenage girls, according to court filings on Thursday. So more stuff is happening. $35 million going to victims, which is, of course, good. We'll see that happen. Florida State House just voted for a constitutional amendment abolishing all non-school property taxes for Florida homeowners. Now, this is being sold very differently. This is very important, this one line here. A lot of people are saying they're going to abolish property taxes. No, not completely. They're going to abolish the bullshit part of property taxes. It very much sounds like they're planning on keeping the parts of property taxes that pay for schools, which is what a lot of property taxes were initially based off of, schools and fire departments and stuff like that. So that means you're still going to have property tax, even if it's a smaller amount, which is great, but that still means you don't own your property free and clear like they've been trying to sell to people in Florida. Maybe you guys get there. Hopefully you do. You're miles ahead of many other states and cities and whatnot, but yeah, it is what it is. Healthy Home, another amazing product. One of the things I got to talk about is there's 2 products I'm going to focus on today instead of everything. Amaze Collagen. You got sore, sagging skin, sore muscles, joint discomfort, even some of the arthritis type stuff. This is collagen. It's a peptide. It's the smallest ingredients and smallest ways to get it into your body. It's literally a liquid. There's no mixing it in anything. It's already a liquid, and it's delicious. You literally crack open the packet, put it into your mouth. It's, I don't know, it's like an ounce or two. And you are taking in a major amount of collagen, and it's going to help you tremendously. So again, joints, hair, your skin, especially you guys that are losing weight with the Feel Great product, you're going to want to get some collagen too to kind of make sure that skin is able to stay elastic and snap back as you're losing weight. Also really popular is Balance. Ladies heading into the baby making part of their life, young children, and heading out of the baby making phase of their life, ladies in their sweet years of life. It's a hard time on the body. There's a lot of emotional hormone stuff that's like just all over the place, right? Hormone related, and certainly menopause is what a lot of people in my audience are experiencing. But you've got kids and grandkids. This is actually helping people through this process. It's called Balance. It's plant-based. There's no hormones in it. If you're on synthetic hormones or not, this works. I've had two ladies explain this to me. One was on synthetic hormones. They didn't quite do it for her, but she liked the synthetic hormones. And when she started using the Balance, that filled in all the gaps, everything that was missing. The other lady didn't like the synthetic hormones, it didn't feel right, had a weird experience with them. She's more of heliopathy, whatever. I'm screwing up the word, but like the healthier choices of life, right? Homeopathy, probably better choice. She used this, and this was like it fixed everything. It was it. So people going through those changes, you got mood swings, you're having temperature swings, you're having all sorts of issues, having a hard time sleeping, having a hard time with relationships. This is actually helping restore everything. It's restoring balance to your life, to your relationships, to your sleep. Check it out. You want to go to danradiostyle.healthyhome.com. That's danradiostyle.healthyhome.com. And obviously STEM Active. It helps your stem cells. It's plant-based. Stem cells are your healing cells. You want to check that out too. They've got it for pets as well. You got a pet that's going through surgery or pet that's actually getting older. Stem cells help kind of rejuvenate the body. And it's one of the things that starts to wane as we get older. We produce less stem cells, less healing cells. This is a way you can get those numbers up. danradiostyle.healthyhome.com. That's danradiostyle.healthyhome.com. You want to make sure you make those healthy choices. Keep yourself alive as long as possible, and those little ones. Make sure they stay alive with us. Labor Secretary DeRimmer's husband's been banned from the Department of HQ over sexual assault allegations. I don't know what this is about. Labor Secretary Lori Chavez DeRimmer, her husband, apparently hugged someone for too long. And that's now why Dr. Sean DeRimmer is not allowed to show up at this particular department. I don't know why he's got to show up at this chick's job. This seems like an opportunity to try to shame the labor secretary for whatever reason. She's probably about to do something that's going to be bad for the unions or something like that. So we'll see what plays out and what more we can find out about that. It's just, again, if the dude's guilty, then throw the book at him. That's cool. But presumed innocent until... And so there's a lot of already a slime kind of being thrown at him, and it just doesn't feel right. So it feels like a typical deep state sort of movement, if you will. Trump is ripping the Nancy Guthrie investigation for revealing high-tech FBI sniffer. I talked about this too. I was like, I can't believe they're talking about this. I was assuming they'd already done it. He makes it sound like they didn't. But they literally told people before they did the investigation what we're going to be looking for. He's like, I can't believe what's going on. In fact, a lot of people are thinking this Pima County sheriff is really on some sort of ego trip or intentionally hiding stuff. This dude's looking worse and worse and worse every single day. So Pima County Sheriff Chris Nanos is reportedly being accused of using the ongoing investigation to boost his ego. FBI, he's not letting them get involved. He's not letting them help. It's a lot of weird things. So Trump's being very upset with them. And for anybody that's like, why don't they just go in? It's because it's a jurisdiction thing. And FBI doesn't have jurisdiction. They just don't. So, yeah, it would be illegal to step on people's toes. Texas is suing Temu and Lorex over alleged CCP ties. There's a pretty good little article here. Check it out.
And Texas Attorney General Ken Paxton has filed lawsuits against Lorex and Temu, alleging both companies have ties to the Chinese Communist Party. The legal action marks the third and fourth cases Paxton has brought this week targeting companies over alleged connections to China. The suit claims Lorex, a security camera manufacturer, failed to disclose that some of its products contain components made by Dahua. That's a Chinese firm previously blacklisted by the U.S. government over national security and human rights concerns. In a separate complaint, Paxton accuses Temu of operating what he calls spyware disguised as a shopping app. He alleges it could expose Americans' data under China's national intelligence laws. Both companies have not immediately responded. Paxton says Texas will act to protect consumers' privacy and security.
So, yeah, kind of interesting that that they're doing that, and then they should. I mean, this is probably something that should be done nationwide. We'll see. Secretary Wright is sending a message to International Energy Agency. Says, clean up your act or the U.S. is out. These people are trying to do all this green nonsense, and this is the International Energy Agency in Paris, the Paris Climate Accord and all this nonsense. He's like, look, you guys clean up your stuff or we're pulling out. My guess is they're not going to clean up their stuff, but they can't exist without the U.S. money, so I'm curious to see where this all goes. Not worth spending a lot of time on the article. NASA chief is blasting Boeing over botched Starliner mission. He considered this failure to be a class or a type A mishap, which, yeah, it's horrible. It's the worst of the mishaps. So again, Boeing is having a hard time accomplishing anything proper right now. Their space program has fallen apart. Their ability to make airliners has fallen apart. The way they've broken apart the manufacturing of these airliners has caused all sorts of issues with quality, and they're not doing anything about it. So again, not blaming Boeing, I'm blaming the McDonnell Douglas portion of Boeing that has led to a lot of the problems we're having. So hopefully we can get it straightened out, and we'll see. African state, West Africa, by the way, and this one tripped me out a little bit. So West African country's foreign minister, João Bernardo Vieira, whatever, said the government has shut down and the trial in response to these concerns. There's this hepatitis B trial on children. Hepatitis B, you know, one of the key things that the CDC has removed from the childhood vaccine schedule that they're freaking out about, the hepatitis part. Why is that? Why do they want to infect people with this hepatitis thing so badly across this great country? In fact, it makes me wonder if this is one of those ones that's very easily to manipulate with frequencies. You know, you turn the cell frequency to the right thing, and all of a sudden that hepatitis B thing starts to spark up in people. Don't know. But it's very interesting. Also, what's interesting is just a side story that I didn't share. It was 2 days ago. But there's a plane that landed in West Africa back in December, and it was 2 American pilots flying this plane. They didn't say wasn't a famous airline, and the story was written in a weird way. 2 American pilots that were begging for Trump's help because they're stuck in a prison, and all they were trying to do was just get fuel for their plane. What makes me wonder if maybe they were doing something different. And yeah, sure, they happen to be Americans, but not what they're claiming, and maybe they're in prison for a reason. I don't know if it ties to this, but I did think this was a weird coincidence, and oftentimes I try to pay attention, but when just 2 weird stories that connect on a strange sliver come together accidentally, there might be something to this. So something going on in Western Africa. West Africa is learning to stay away. We know that Bill Gates is having issues with vaccines in Africa now, and he's starting to have to back away because of the Epstein stuff. So this is, I think, Africa starting to figure out, dude, they've been trying to kill you all for a long time and get you sick. So this is interesting. It's a neat little movement. Ex-Prince Andrew, he was treated like a common criminal, they said, during the 11 hours in custody. He didn't get to have his tea in his fancy china or any of that. In fact, he was offered, probably some microwave food. And that's just like absurd. I wouldn't eat that. Granted, the English, they don't exactly put any flavor in their food from what I understand. Needless to say, he spent 11 hours in jail. I think they got him back out, though it was not stated directly in this article. But when they say he spent 11 hours in custody, that would imply to me that clock stopped at some point. And he's no longer in custody, so maybe he's got an ankle bracelet on now or whatever. South Korea's former president, Yoon Suk Yeol, He was found guilty of leading an insurrection and sentenced to life imprisonment for declaring martial law in 2024. I still wonder about that whole thing. I feel like that was kind of I don't know, maybe we took the deep state, kept the deep state from doing something. I don't know what side he was on. I don't. I think it's interesting he's in jail for life because like Bolsonaro and all these people that this is happening to. So this feels like a political thing against probably one of the conservative people we like. And I don't know a whole lot about the current president or whatever they're. Yeah, she's president, I guess, of South Korea right now. I don't know a lot about her. No, or him. I think it's a him. Whatever. Danish Navy intercepts, detains Iran-flagged cargo ship. Long story. They were changing their flag, doing some weird stuff. It's not proper. All said, they think this might be part of the shadow fleet. They're not taking the ship back. They're just like keeping it from, like it's anchored, and they're keeping it from going anywhere. So we'll see what's on there. It was a cargo ship, at least the way it's situated, but it's just parked. I don't think it's got cargo on it. Even that was not easy to glean from the article itself, but yeah, Danish are involved in this. I don't know if there was something on there that they were trying to get, again, tying to Russia and Iran, likely. U.S. is planning a sprawling base for 5,000 international troops in southern Gaza. This is where those people are going to live and be, and it'll keep them safe for the most part. So they're building a base. The United States is helping, and this will be just on the outskirts of Gaza. I think it's going to have a landing strip. They used meters, too. It's going to be 1,400 meters by 1,100 meters, ringed by a 26-trailer mounted armored watchtowers, and I guess, yeah. So they're going to keep tabs on stuff. We'll see how good this is. Iran and Russia and China, they did some joint drills. They kicked those off in the crowded waters around the Hormuz, the Strait of Hormuz, and those areas in there. So I don't know. They've done this every year since 2019. This is the same time, same bat channel, like nothing new. I think Beijing didn't actually take any play in this. I think Russia was still involved. But yeah, this is just something they do every year. It's like, all right, let's go do our war games. We'll see what happens. It did, when I saw this picture, it made me think, like, I wonder if, like, when we do our attack, I wonder if we would actually strike their ships, like these types of ships. This ship here, I think, is an Iranian ship, though. It's very stealthy looking. It's kind of cool. But it looks like it's just a missile platform, basically. It would be a reasonably easy target to hit. But yeah, the Iran thing's going to start to get a little crazy, so let's give ourselves some time on that. There we go. Bonfire. I finally got a little thing set up. Where is it? Yeah, there it is. Cool. So bonfire.com/store/Dan-radio-style. It's on the screen. bonfire.com/store/Dan-radio-style. We'll get more stuff in there. I got some shirts, got this basic diagram going on the Fringe, Dan Radio style, and just my cool little emblem. Tried to keep it sort of just basic. There's a lot. I don't like overdoing it. I like simple. So we've got shirts. We got some of the baseball shirts. We're going to try to see about getting more colors and stuff. That's one thing that's a little weird with Bonfire is I don't notice a lot of choices when it comes to colors, but we've got some hoodies, sweatshirts, some nice hoodies, and again, the baseball sleeve. I'd like to see this in more colors. Hopefully that can happen. The 3/4 sleeve. And then they've got just t-shirts if you want something like that. Those come in a number of different colors. And then again, the hats. I just wanted to make sure to get some hats. I will get some beanies soon. That was one thing I wanted to do. They wouldn't let me to add them together, so I'll do beanies separately as they call them campaigns, but I'll do a separate campaign for the beanies. But yeah, I just wanted to give some options. I wanted to be able to get some hats for sure. And on top of that, I also wanted to be able to have the shirts. I wanted to be able to order some more shirts. Bugging me, right? So also it's pretty close to what the one that Ron created way back when, my first round of merch. Now it's mine, so I'll keep messing with it. There's all sorts of crazy stuff we can put the logos on, so we'll offer it up and we'll see how it goes. It doesn't seem like it costs anything for me to just add stuff to the catalog, so I'll get some cool stuff in there for some of y'all that want to try like weird, like a handbag that's got my thing on it. That'd be kind of cool. Anyway, U.S. and Chinese warplanes are going to face off near Korea. Kind of stupid article, and I think it's meant to make it sound like China and America were going head-to-head, but these are Gen 4 aircraft. So F-16 warplanes from South Korea took off and flew in international waters, but right by China's, defense zone or whatever. China took off craft, and then they all got close to each other and, flipped each other off or whatever they do. And that was it, right? Just a bunch of nothing. Now, I'm curious. I don't think a lot of this type of stuff is done for no reason. So I'm wondering some of it, if it was just to see how quickly China would, respond. Also, where they would respond from. I feel like I think there was more to this than just, we're just trying to piss off China. That's what they're playing out to us. I think they're actually doing a little checky check. We'll see. Who knows? Supposedly the CIA knew about the plot to blow up Nord Stream. I think they did. I don't think there's any question about it. Joe Biden made the threat, and then shortly thereafter, the thing blew up. Whether or not we did it, or whether or not this was Ukrainians, like the Germans say, remains to be seen. But it's very unlikely that the Germans are being accurate or honest, and it's far more likely that the CIA was directly behind this sabotage. That'll come out eventually, too. British are sabotaging peace. Speaking of which, here's how. They're trying to stop. They've been doing this for a long time, by the way, too. They've been trying to keep this war going on forever. And again, it's just funny how this just continues to play out. They don't want this war to stop. They don't want the distraction to end. They want the money to continue to flow. They are stealing so much money from all the people of this world through these stupid wars. That's one of the big reasons why it's so significant that Trump's stopping the wars, because he's destroying the deep state's money system. And no wars means no money. Everyone always tries to make it sound like, oh, no, you got to have wars, otherwise your defense industry can't continue to manufacture. That's not true. And we've got something else that we're actually going to be focused on once we finally get peace on this planet, which is going to be the meeting people from other places that are soon going to happen, especially as they're starting to disclose what they do know about UFOs and or possibly people from other worlds. A lot's going to be happening over the next short period of time. This might be tricky for flat Earth people. I don't know how that's going to play out, because if there is other planets involved, and I don't think it's just past the ice wall. I think we're talking something a little different, unfortunately. We'll see. ESPN's going to replace Sunday Night Baseball with Women's Sports Sundays. First off, I'm going to guess that Sundays are the lowest rated day of sports. It wouldn't seem like it, because that's football and all that. But this will be interesting because, well, typically speaking, men consume a majority of sports. Men like men's sports. They don't necessarily like women's sports. Some men will watch it because they have to or whatever. But the thing is women should watch women's sports, but women don't generally watch sports the same way that dudes do. They don't. It's not the same thing. It's just not how they're wired the same way. Like a dude can sit in front of a sports event and be stoked, right? Sit there with a friend and fart on each other, and that's a fun time, man. That's good times, hanging out with buddies and doing that. I'm not saying you always have to fart on each other. It's just, when that happens, it's cool. It's just an extra benefit, right? So this is something that's going to be interesting because it's probably not going to work out well. There's, generally speaking, and Bill Barr's done a lot of jokes around this, and I don't mean it to be disrespectful in any way, shape, or form, but the reason women's sports doesn't do better is because women don't watch sports. It's why. And what women want is they want men to watch women's sports, but men don't want to, and they're not doing it. So, women are like, you're sexist. It's like, your sports aren't the same. It's not the same as watching two dudes playing football versus two chicks playing football, or two dudes boxing versus two chicks boxing. First off, I don't like watching women fight. I have a hard time with that just in general, but whatever. It's like not the same thing. It's just not. Men are stronger, faster. I mean, it's the way it is. They're bigger. Like, it's just, it's like more extreme version of whatever sport we're talking about. Obama's Tower of Doom is pissing a bunch of people off. They're bitching at the, this weird thing that they've got. It's words, and they're really hard to read. I started reading some of it, and it's like, you are America constrained by... what is that? Anyway, yeah, but it's hard to read, very hard to read, and then it wraps around the building, like in the corner. So when you read it from one side, it looks really stupid. When you read it from the other side, it looks stupid. You got to actually be able to read it together. Anyway, people are just thinking it's an eyesore. It's stupid looking. It's over $1 billion. I guess it's got way over budget. Whatever. It's Obama. No one should be surprised. Tesla scores FCC waiver for wireless cybercab charging system. I guess they're rolling out these cyber cabs that are going to be going live in Texas. And they've gotten FCC permission to do a wireless charging system. So they literally just drive over the top of this thing and then just park there and it'll charge. Kind of like when you set your phone on one of those little magnetic doohickeys and it starts charging your phone. Essentially that same type of charging. I wonder personally what sort of energy frequencies those things disperse, but whatever the case is, it's ultra wide band. So I'm not even sure what frequency range we're talking about here. If we're in the megahertz, gigahertz, I don't even know. Curious though. So yeah, this is a new thing, and then I guess they're going to sell these to consumers. That makes no sense to me. Why would I want to buy one unless I guess I just own the cab and it drives around and I just pay the insurance and I make money without being in it? They don't have a steering wheel and they don't have pedals, so there's literally no way to control it other than it controlling itself. Anyway, that's moving forward. I don't trust shit like that, but whatever. I think a lot of you probably are familiar with Grey's Anatomy. I don't think I've watched literally one episode ever, and I don't want to. No thank you. Grey's Anatomy and Euphoria star Eric Dane apparently passed away at 53. Almost my age. Wow. Poor guy. We've got, what's this? We talked about in Tahoe, the avalanche. So far we got to confirm that 6 of these ladies had passed away. It was a bunch of moms, it sounds like, that were out there. And they got smoked. Supposedly Gavin Newsom's claiming that one of these groups was friends of his family, which again makes me wonder if there's some other stuff involved in this. Not sure. Don't know who these people are. I love this. Is Liz Klabaugh is one of the people that's in there. So it's a picture of Liz Klabaugh and a man standing, smiling with snow-covered mountains and frozen lake in the background. And a man. It's just the weirdest picture ever. Liz Klabaugh and a man. Okay. Well, glad they knew it's a man, at least. So very sad. They definitely have passed away. They were supposedly trying to take the hardest route out of this particular area. So people are questioning whether that was a good idea. Pulp Fiction actor Peter Green, he passed away. His cause of death was been released now. Apparently was shot through the armpit by himself. Self-inflicted gunshot wound. He was a firearm owner, apparently. The only thing I can imagine is he was messing with a holster, and I just don't know how you shoot yourself in. But the ephemeral or whatever artery it is there. I don't know if it's ephemeral or if that's the leg. That wasn't my thing. But yeah, he shot himself in the shoulder. It went through the major artery there, and he bled out and just probably less than a minute and literally died right there. So I don't know. Kind of a weird actor. He always played characters that I thought were dicks, which, maybe it was typecasting, as they say. Who knows? All that said, a lot crazy happening, and I'm curious to see if Trump, let's go ahead and do a quick check while we're on it, see if Trump's put anything out yet around tariffs. There it is. All right. Cool. Okay, so, wow, he's got a couple things. Let's read them. Yeah, wow, okay. I'm glad. I was waiting for him to put something out. I was shocked he hadn't. So first he goes, to show you how ridiculous the opinion is, the court said that I'm not allowed to charge even $1 to any country under IEEPA. I assume to protect other countries, not the United States, which they should be interested in protecting. But I'm allowed to cut off any and all trade or business with that same country, even imposing a foreign country and destroying embargo, and do anything else I want to do to them. How nonsensical is that? They are saying that I have the absolute right to license, but not the right to charge a license fee. What license has ever been issued without the right to charge a fee? But now the court has given me the unquestioned right to ban all sorts of things from coming into our country, a much more powerful right than many people thought we had. Our country is the hottest anywhere in the world, but now I am going in a different direction, which is even stronger than our original choice. As Justice Kavanaugh wrote in his dissent, quote, although I firmly disagree with the court's holdings today, the decision might not substantially constrain a president's ability to order tariffs going forward. That is because numerous other federal statutes authorize the president to impose tariffs and might justify most, if not all, of the tariffs issued in this case. Those statutes include, for example, the Trade Expansion Act of 1962, the Trade Act of 1974, and the Tariff Act of 1930. Thank you, Justice Kavanaugh. In actuality, while I'm sure they did not mean to do so, the Supreme Court's decision today made a president's ability to both regulate trade and impose tariffs more powerful and crystal clear rather than less. There will no longer be any doubt, and the income coming in and the protection of our companies and country will actually increase because of this decision. Based on long-standing law and hundreds of victories to the contrary, the Supreme Court did not overrule tariffs. They merely overruled a particular use of IEEPA tariffs. The ability to block, embargo, restrict, license, or impose any other conditions on a foreign country's ability to conduct trade with the United States under IEEPA has been fully confirmed by this decision. In order to protect our country, a president can actually charge more tariffs than I was charging in the past under the various other tariff authorities, which have also been confirmed and fully allowed. Therefore, effective immediately, all national security tariffs, Section 232, and existing Section 301 tariffs remain in place and in full force and effect. Today, I will sign an order to impose a 10% global tariff under Section 122 over and above our normal tariffs already being charged, and we are also initiating several Sanction 301s and other investigations to protect our country from unfair trading practices. Thank you again for your attention to this matter. Make America great again. I love it. And he called out the Kavanaugh thing, too, which I thought was the sweet part of that. So, yeah. So, again, we are... Supreme Court ruling on tariffs deeply disappointing. I am ashamed of certain members of the court for not having the courage to do what is right for our country. I would like to thank and congratulate Justice Thomas, Alito, and Kavanaugh for their strength, wisdom, and love of our country, which is right now very proud of you. When you read the dissenting opinions, there is no way that anyone can argue against them. Foreign countries that have been ripping us off for years are ecstatic and dancing in the streets. But they won't be dancing for long. The Democrats on the court are thrilled, and they will automatically vote no against anything that makes America strong and healthy again. They also are a disgrace to our nation. Others think they are being politically correct, which has happened before, far too often, with certain members of this court, when, in fact, they're just fools and lapdogs for the rhinos and radical left Democrats, and not that this should have anything to do with it, very unpatriotic and disloyal to the Constitution. It is my opinion that the court has been swayed by foreign interests and a political movement that is far smaller than people would think, but obnoxious, ignorant, and loud. This was an important case for me, more as a symbol of economic and national security than anything else. The good news is that there are methods, practices, statutes, and other authorities as recognized by the entire court and Congress that are even stronger than the IEEPA tariffs available to me as President of the United States of America, and, in actuality, I was very modest in my ask of other countries and businesses because I wanted to do nothing that could sway the decision that has been rendered by the court. I have very effectively utilized tariffs over the past year to make America great again. Our stock market has just recently broke the 50,000 mark on the Dow and simultaneously 7,000 on the S&P, two numbers that everybody thought upon our landslide election victory could not be attained until the very end of my administration, 4 years. Tariffs have likewise been used to end 5 of the 8 wars that I settled, having given us great national security and, together with our strong borders, reduce fentanyl coming into our country by 30% when I use them as a penalty against countries illegally sending this poison to us. All of those tariffs remain, but other alternatives will now be used to replace the ones that the court incorrectly rejected. Wow. Good stuff. I'm glad I checked, and it makes me wonder if the stock market changed at all because of that ruling, because of what Trump chose. So it looks like since his post, we're seeing a spike upward. Let's see about the precious metals. Yeah, look at, they're all over the damn place right now. All over the place. So they went up, then went down. Now they're back up again. So, yeah. America is becoming great again, and we are taking it back from the deep state. Stay strong, guys. Keep pushing the fight. Don't give up, and we will win this in the end. Stand strong. Where we go together, where we go one, we go all. It's on the Fringe with Dan RadioStyle.